Okay, welcome to our latest episode of the Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. Which is recorded during the 2022 World Cup break. My name is Brian Fisher, and I, along with a guest, will be reviewing recent games, discussing the odd topic or two, and briefly looking forward to future matches. Jonathan, also known on Hoops and Dreams as Sydney R, is the podcast guest for today, and a very warm welcome to you, Jonathan.
Hiya, how you going?
Hey, not so bad. Jonathan joins us from Australia, where at the moment it's a nice, I presume, sunny evening over there.
It is. There's a bit of a backburn going on, so it's a bit smoky, but it's pleasant. Yeah.
Damn sight better than the frozen conditions we got here.
Well, yeah. Sorry.
Okay, I want to take you briefly back to another time, a time before Ilias Chair sat on the bench throughout all of Morocco's games, unable to showcase his talent. At a time when Bic Mealymouth was still our manager. To our last two games. QPR versus Huddersfield on the 8th of November, which we lost 1-2, and Coventry against QPR on the 12th. And we lost that one as well, but this was 2-0. I rashly doubled up on my assumption that the R's would beat Huddersfield by stating that they would beat Coventry too.
Yeah.
My assumption was that we would beat the Terriers. That was really based upon getting a team reaction to the loss against the Baggies. I also thought that a return to winning ways at Loftus Road would give us the impetus at Coventry to win there too. Instead, the Terriers must have watched the approach of West Brom and adopted the same high press and double marking on Willock and Chair. So despite an early opening goal from Lyndon Dykes, the lead only lasted 7 minutes and we went behind after 26 minutes. And then we saw the game slip away from us, and you had the feeling we could have been there till hell froze over before we scored. The loss at Coventry was a little weirder. A clearance on the wing by Laird ricocheted off the player into off of his player into a line of players that were lined up for the cross. The ball skipped along past their first player and our two defenders before Gyökeres tapped it home. The second came as a result of QPR pushing forward to equalise and had the defenders shouting for offside, but it stood. Again, there were repeated attempts to score, but the best attempt came courtesy of a long-range shot from Dickey. So did it surprise you, Jonathan, how late the tactical substitutions were made against both Huddersfield and Coventry?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, we just don't know what's going on, do we, really? I mean...
No. I mean, do you think it was a question of Beale wanting those on the pitch to keep going and boost their confidence by scoring, or a question of Beale having little belief that those on the bench would make a difference?
Well, he must have had some kind of belief in the guys that are on the pitch.
Well, you have to think that.
I think it is, yeah. But
it was all a bit weird, I thought.
Yeah.
I got the feeling that there was no plan B. That was the impression I got. But anyway, losing, no matter how weird the way or how close the performance were, it hurts. But the real concern is the lack of scoring, and I think the lack of alternatives from bringing the ball out from the back.
Yeah.
Having said all that, we should remember that Mick Beale was without the likes of Balogun, Johansson, and Tyler Roberts, who were all out because of their injuries, and both Tim and Powell were out because of illness. Sadly, this run of poor results means that we went into the World Cup break knowing we had problems that we had to address, and of course we have to address them against Burnley in mid-December.
Yeah,
not very good, is it?
No. I was just going to ask, how is Armstrong? Is he played a lot of time in those two games, or?
He's played some time. To be honest, I think really Armstrong, the thing is the club is torn between two things. They want to get him out there because they know that he can make a difference. He is an impact player when he comes on. But he's he's learning.
Yeah.
I've said on the Hoops and Dreams forum that I actually believe that he's a bit like Eze in that he's still learning that part of a striker's job or an attacking player's job is to come back and defend as well, to help support. He rarely does that.
Yes, he's not quite there, is he? But,
no, he's not the finished product, and in a way, perhaps we shouldn't think so. Anyway, so out of those two games, we got 0 points. We're now 7th in the league, only ahead of Swansea and Preston by goal difference, I think, and we're still on 31 points. So we haven't shifted there at all. No. So anyway, let's move on to our first topic. Jonathan, topic number 1 is certainly something our new manager will ponder over. We were riding high on well-earned victories based upon our attractive-looking performances. Now we're on a run of losses and are struggling to score. So what do you think has gone wrong, and what can the R's do to reverse its fortunes, Jonathan?
Well, I mean, is it a case of players knowing what was going to happen, losing the dressing room, that kind of thing? I mean, we just don't know what's gone on behind the doors, do we?
No, we don't. Yeah, it's true, and in all fairness,
something's happened for us to go from being so good, to from what I've seen, quite bad.
Yes,
something's gone on. Something has gone on, but just don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean we've gone from a side that used to dominate play and enable anybody in the team to score, really, to one that struggles to maintain possession and fails in the final third. I mean, that's easy for me to identify, but it's far harder to resolve. You know, and then you add on the lack of depth in our striker department. Plus, I honestly think that a lot of teams are now sussing us out.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You've said that before, that it's just they know what's going to happen. Yeah.
I mean, I think they all sit there in the championship, reviewing each other's videos of previous games, and they all work out, hey, that worked. Let's try this as well. Which I think is what happened, with obviously Coventry and Huddersfield, to some degree, anyway. Yeah. So no solution from you?
No. It also, I mean, it just depends who we get in as well. I mean, you're going to have to work with what they've got. Probably won't be able to bring much in, and will people want to leave? I mean, I don't know. The guys that Mick brought in, will they want to stay? I mean, I think they probably will do. I mean, they seem to be getting on okay.
Yeah, I think they're all professionals at the end of the day. Yeah. And I think therefore that will override anything else. I think probably a bigger concern might be if they are pulled back by their clubs, the loan players.
Well, Laird, that kind of thing. Yep.
Oh, I'd hate to lose Laird. Gosh. Right. Well, let's move on to topic number 2, I think. And this is a one that I changed because of circumstances. Do you think that QPR's board should look for a like-for-like replacement for Beale, or look for the best manager coach available, irrespective of his preferred playing style?
I think it all comes down to money, doesn't it? I mean, people are screaming for Dyche to come, but he won't come because we can't afford him.
No.
Wilder again, but Critchley, is it Critchley?
Yeah, Neil Critchley. Yeah.
So they reckon that he's the best fit, a similar fit, and it's the fit that the club had sort of thought about. That's what they wanted. So I think they'll try and stick with that.
Yeah, and he is available.
Yeah. So probably that. I think that's probably the best way.
Yeah, I mean, I can't honestly say that Neil Critchley, if it was him, that we could say his style that he's played in the past matches ours, because I mean, thinking of Blackpool, and whatever. No, I don't think it did. But that's not to say that he's not able to adapt to our style, and go with the best that suits the club.
Yeah,
I just don't know. We will see, I guess.
Yeah.
I suspect there'll be an announcement next week. I wouldn't be at all surprised on that.
But they're going to have to change something if teams have found us out. You can't line up the same guys in the same places, and so a new manager might be the best thing anyway, and new tactics perhaps.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, we've built upon what Mark Warburton started, by trying to bring in possession-based football,
Yeah,
um, and bring the ball out from the back, of course. Mick Beale wanted to enhance the attacking side of that element by introducing players such as Tim, Powell, Laird, sorry, and
yeah,
Roberts. Taking aside the worry that some of them only came because of Mick Beale, we have to consider whether their playing style will gel with that of the new manager, who will,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course, be hired for his integrity.
yeah.
Um,
We
and
hope.
honesty, I suppose, as well. Just get
Yeah,
that in
yeah.
again, just in case you're listening, Big Mealy Mouth. So I'm very much hoping that the players can adapt to the new manager's style of playing. Sorry, the new players can adapt a new style of managing. I think
Yeah,
really that's it, isn't it? It's the manager's going to come in, he's going to try and stamp some sort of style on them, but he also must adapt to their style as well. I feel
yeah,
it's going to be
yeah.
very interesting. It's not that particularly good a time to be doing this, but hey
No,
ho.
no, no.
Um, and I think we've also got to the one thing we have to do now, especially after looking at the World Cup so much, the matches there, we've got to continue to hire players that are comfortable with the ball at their feet, who know
Yeah,
they need to offer options to other ball players, and can attack whilst knowing that the defence will be there to stop the counter attacks.
mm,
Anyway,
we hope.
I think I mentioned before, our next game isn't until I think it's Sunday, the 11th of December, when we
11,
play
yeah,
Burnley, of course. So we've got chance here to really go on and introduce a third topic.
yeah.
We,
They're pretty good though, aren't they? I mean, two losses since August, I think, and some good wins, and well, they're just good. They're a good team, aren't they? They're going to be very tricky.
they are. So let's get that one out of the way first. Then, what do you think? Do you think
Right,
it's a
sorry.
win, draw, or lose against Burnley?
Yeah. You'd hope with the new, if we have a new manager, it'd be the luck of the new manager, that kind of win. But hoping for a draw, I think.
Yeah, I think I tell you what, if it's a draw, I would be quite chuffed as well. That
Yeah,
would be okay. But I must admit, I've gone for a loss. I've got
no,
a
okay,
little faith at the moment.
right,
I think the team's going to be a bit unsettled,
yeah,
and I think Burnley's on a crest of a wave, and we're
yeah,
not.
yeah,
But take heart from this, because I've been wrong with Coventry, wrong with Huddersfield,
yeah.
wrong
Well,
with the Baggies. So
that's it.
don't
We
worry.
lose to Huddersfield at the bottom, and we might beat the top team. So
I
you never
know.
know.
Okay, so
Fingers crossed.
let's move on to our final topic then, shall we? Um, we we've done well to date. To be honest with you, we've been hovering around the top six as a result. But could we have done better with a more lethal strike force? Dykes has worked his socks off up front,
Yeah,
but he's usually been alone or someone he doesn't connect with, which includes Armstrong, who you mentioned before.
mm,
So the question is whether we should go out shopping for a striker in the January transfer window, which is always a difficult time,
yeah.
or whether we should adapt our play to a 4-2-3-1 formation and encourage the rest of the team to continue to strike for goal and hope that's enough. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I suppose it depends who's available. What do we get? 1 million? We got 1.5 million for Mick, did we? Is that how much we got? That might be able to get
Rumor has
something,
it,
but
yeah. Rumor has it 1.6 million. You're right.
right, okay. Or we just try and get another loan, I suppose. But I don't know who's out there. I don't know. Are we that attractive to people, especially after this? But,
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see on this. You know, I find it very, very difficult to try and work out what we should be doing. I know we've covered this topic in the past, in part anyway, when we were struggling to get a fit striker. And I suggested at the time that perhaps following Man City's example, instead of having a designated striker, to have
yeah,
none.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you use a possession-based football and the
yeah,
right players to work the ball up the field
yeah.
and treat each one as a potential striker.
Well, that might good against teams that aren't going to expect that. I mean, they'd work it out obviously after a couple of games, but it might be worth a start.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping it would confuse the opposition because they wouldn't know who was going to go for goal and who was not. But the alternative is trying to find and actually get a decent striker for a decent price, in the January sales. And I honestly think that's very, very difficult. And I would also suggest far too risky if it's a PL cast off, perhaps subject to injury problems, and far too expensive if we want to entice away a decent League One striker from his club.
Yeah.
I personally think we'll just have to grin and bear it, for the rest of the season and make do with what we have. Is that how you feel?
Probably try different things each week and see what works.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're absolutely right on this. I don't know. I feel that this has been a very frustrating time for us. I really do. I mean, how were you shocked by the news about Mick Beale?
Well, I'm probably the same as everyone else. After the Wolves thing, it was so happy. Like, not in love with the guy, but just I felt so happy, and had my loyalty to him then, and it just felt like a kick in the face, really.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Jonathan. I think there's an awful lot of people ranting and raving about it, and I know that somebody at Rangers, in the media there, was turning around saying, "Oh, it's because you think we're a smaller club, a lesser club than QPR." No, it's not. It's not that at all. It's all to do with honesty and integrity being mentioned, and showing him supposedly showing that he would turn down the Wolves job to finish the job here. It's two-facedness. All right. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, that about does it up for now, and all we can do now is look forward to Burnley, to the draw that you predicted, Jonathan.
I reckon. Yeah.
And I hope you're right. I really do.
Well, hopefully.
Well, that's all we've got time for on this episode from the Hoops and Dreams team, other than for me to offer my usual thanks. Firstly, to my guest, Jonathan, for joining me. Really, thank you. Really appreciate it, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me. Sorry, I can't add a bit too more.
And also to my editor, Dave, as usual, for all the good work he does behind the scenes. And to you all for watching. Do click on subscribe if you're watching this on our YouTube channel. And do add a comment or two below. We'd love to hear from you, and we will always try and reply. I'm Brian Fisher, and this was the Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. Come on, you R's!
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.